Hello and welcome to Paula Armstrong Ceramics. So for this video I thought I would do another simple-ish make, but that makes a great gift for somebody, and it's just a little soap dish. A very simple slab built, hand built soap dish. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, for this soap dish you're going to need a rolling pin, something to roll out on, some clay, pottery knife, a rubber kidney, or you could just use your fingers to smooth, something to cut the holes out with. Now this is just a plastic tube that came on the end of a paintbrush to keep the bristles straight, that I find works brilliantly. But you can use something like a straw or a pen, an empty pen, the main body of the pen without the ink in the middle. Something like that will work just as well. And then I'm going to add a little bit of texture to mine, so I quite like this lace, so I'm going to use that to add a bit of a pattern to my soap dish. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is roll out a bit of clay. I don't need all of this, so in fact that's probably plenty. I'll use this more. And I'm just going to roll this out. Now I'm going with a slightly oval shaped soap dish for this, but you can make any other shape that you'd like. You can use things like bowls or trays or something that's the shape that you want, and use it as a former to lay the slab in to get the shape that you want. If you do that though, make sure you line something if it's not porous, because otherwise the clay will stick to it, and as it dries it might well crack. So I'm just rolling this out at the moment. I want to go fairly thin, because I think the soap dish will look better with slightly thinner edges. You don't want to go too thin, otherwise it gets hard to build with. Okay, so that's probably about 3mm, something like that thick, and that will do me. Now if you want to be absolutely precise, you can cut yourself a template so that you know the exact shape you want. Remember, most clays will shrink in their firing, so make it slightly bigger than you want for your piece of clay. Now I like the oval shapes, and I don't mind if things aren't precise, so I'm quite happy to do the cutting freehand. There we go. Now because I've chosen a nice round shape, I can simply put the sides up. Now I'm compressing the clay in slightly, so I'm pushing my fingers towards each other a bit as I do this, and that helps make sure that the edges stay up. So if you just pull them up, then you'll find as you lift one, the other side has to go down, because there's not quite enough room for all of the clay to stay up. So we need to make it a little bit shorter on this top edge, and we do that by compressing it, pulling it in a bit. This gently, a little at a time. Don't try and go too fast, else you'll end up with a wiggly, kind of fluted edge rather than a nice smooth one. There we go. Once you've got it done, you can smooth, and you can gently rub your fingers that way. Just be careful that you don't press too hard when you rub like that on the sides, otherwise you'll just make it stretch it back out again and it'll fall back down. If you need to, you can just trim the top off again. Once you have your shape, if you want to put some texture on, you can do that. Like say, I like this lace, so I'm going to put some of this texture into it. And my clay's reasonably wet still, so that it will take the texture as I press it in. Again, be careful if you're pressing in around the outside about stretching the upright sides. You can, if you want a texture everywhere over your soap dish, roll the texture in before you lift the sides up. You just have to be very gentle with how you lift the sides up. If you would prefer a square kind of shape, you can always fold your corners up. I'll do a quick little one. So you just cut in on the diagonal and you literally fold the shape up. And overlap the corners. Put a bit of slip in between. You can leave the corners as a bit of a making detail, or you can blend them in to each other. But that gives you a more square shape dish. Okay, our next thing to do is to cut out the drain holes. So you can do these holes in a pattern if you like. But they do need to be in positions that will work for the soap. So the other thing you need to think about is you're going to be putting feet on the bottom of this. Well, you can put feet on the bottom of this. You don't have to. But if you're going to, you need to make sure there's room on the bottom for the feet to go. So I'll put 4 feet. I'll go on either of these corners here. Now that needs to dry a little bit before we can turn it over, because if I try and do anything with it right now, it's a bit too floppy. It'll just drop between the feet. So we'll just wait a little bit for it to dry, or you can use something like a hairdryer to speed the process up a bit, but don't dry it too much if you do that. We don't want this so that the clay is changing colour as you're drying it. We just want it strong enough that we can get those feet on without anything flopping into the middle. I didn't mention the rubber kidney because I didn't need to do the smoothing, but if you need to smooth after you've rolled out, that's when you would use the rubber kidney. Okay, so the next step is to put some feet on. I've dried this a little bit so you can see it's much stronger. It's holding its shape now. Now I like just little round feet. So I'm just going to make a few balls about the same sort of size. Like I said, I'm going to do 4. You don't have to do 4. You could do 3 feet, you could do more. I do find it's a good idea not to do too many feet. You don't have to have any feet if you don't want to. They can go straight on the sink surface. But this part on the bottom is going to be unglazed if it sits on a kiln shelf. So I like the feet because it means there's a much smaller unglazed surface that's going to go onto the sink. So we're going to score where we're going to put the feet, and then the top of each of the feet. We're then going to put some slip. Put the feet on. Don't press too hard. But give it a twizzle, and you should feel them grab so they don't move quite so easily once the slip has really stuck them down. You can use a clean dry brush to go around and take away the excess slip. Do a bit of a tidy up. If you want to put your stamp or your initials on, now's a good time to do that as well. There we go. That is our soap dish. You might find you need to tidy the holes a little bit before it goes in for firing. You can do that with a damp paintbrush, or you can go around like this with a knife at this stage. If you do it when it's completely dry, please damp it down because you don't want the dust coming up and breathing that in because it's bad for you. that's our little soap dish. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it's useful. Soap dishes do make some great gifts for people, so they're lovely little things to make and give. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.